morning, everybody. Happy Saturday. Welcome to my live. My name is Robin, and I'm with Robin's Egg Blue Creations, and I'm also an independent designer with Chalk Couture. So glad that you were able to join me this morning, but if you happen to be watching the replay later, welcome to my replay, and make sure you put in the comments #replay. Also, let me know when you jump on and tell me hi, and let me know where you're watching in the comments. I want to let you know that I am using an online platform called StreamYard. So I am live in 3 locations this morning. I'm live on my business page. I'm live on my YouTube channel. And I'm also live in my private Facebook group, the Robin's Egg Blue Creations Crafty Collab. So if you happen to hear me refer to a comment that you may not see in your feed, that viewer may be watching and hosting from another platform. Also, speaking of StreamYard, if you happen to be watching in my private Facebook group, make sure you give StreamYard access to your profile name by clicking the link in the description of the video. That way you show up under your profile name and not Facebook user in my comments. That way I can say hi to you. I see that Jason is on this morning. Welcome and good morning. I see that Chris is also on, so I am super excited about that. I think that's all the housekeeping this morning. My fan is on and it's making my eye water. So if you tuned in last night, you saw that I created with the November Club Couture transfer, this Reindeer Parking. It is an exclusive 8.5 by 11 transfer that only club members can get or designers. So if you want this transfer and you want to take advantage of the Club Couture member perks, there is a Smart Bio link in the description of the video. There's also a direct link to joining Club Couture. So as a Club Couture member, you would get this in a little crafty subscription bundle delivered to your mailbox every month. It comes with a size B exclusive transfer and 3 chalk paste singles, but I'll talk a little bit more about that later on in the video. I used it last night on this set of door tags, and I also used the country plaid pattern, but I had some snafus. A lot of my chalk paste bled, so I kind of wanted to show you that it can be fixed even on wood. If this would happen to be a chalkboard or glass or metal, it would be easy just to wipe off with water, but since it's wood, you can see that there is probably some staining. I have given it a bit of a sand, so you can, if you mess up on wood, it can be redone. And also, if I had left it on here, but I wanted to put maybe a winter scene on in January, it's kind of like Bob the Builder. Can we fix it? Yes, we can. So if I didn't want the reindeer parking on here anymore in January and I wanted to put a winter scene on here, this also shows you how easy it is, even on wood, to redesign with Chalk Couture products. So I lightly sanded it with my trusty little sanding block. I also kind of wiped it down with a wet wipe and water with paper towel. I had pre-waxed it last night, so that kind of helped protect the wood a little bit from some of the water. But as you can see, there's quite a bit of staining kind of at the bottom. So I'm just going to recoat it lightly with the acrylic paint that I painted it with. And so I'm just using some regular craft acrylic paint, and I'm going to use a baby wipe. So I'm just putting a little bit in this little tray over here. And then I'm just going to use my baby wipe to apply it. And what it does is it waters down the paint, and it makes it dry a little bit quicker. So hopefully this will help cover up some of those boo-boos. So sometimes just an easier way to apply paint. I don't have to get out any paint brushes. I don't have any brush strokes. And it does dry super fast. I'm not too worried about the top up here because I didn't do any sanding or designing up there. And if your wet wipe gets a little grungy or threadbare, you can just move to a different part of the wet wipe. And if a little bit of the stain shows through in the back, I'm not terribly worried about it. I just kind of wanted to blend some of that in. And we can dry it and do another coat if we need to. So let's dry that. I still have this little stubborn spot down here, but we'll get it fixed. If you were watching last night, when I fuzzed my transfer, my fuzz towel was super dirty. It had a ton of sawdust on it. So I don't think I got a good adhesion when I put my transfer down on the surface. So that was part of the issue as to why my chalk paste bled. Like that. It's already dry. I'm going to get a different wet wipe. Get some more paint. And we'll do another coat real quick. There we go. And I wondered how I'd gotten paint up there. So I'm just adhering, putting down some more paint with my wet wipe. And I am protecting my other surface with this just scrap piece of, I think it's just a piece of vinyl backing. Looks a little better. A little bit more down here. So now it just looks a little more aged. A little bit more distressed. But I think it looks better than it did. Wipe off. I've got some paint up there. And I have paint all over my fingers. Just gonna wet a paper towel and see if I can get some of this off my hands. So I'm not a complete mess. Okay, so let's dry that and get that out of the way. Let's dry this coat. What's everyone's plans for the day? Anybody got any big plans for the weekend? I'm going to grab my dark wax again. That's what we used on the other tag, so I kind of want to make sure that they look alike. So I just have a scrap t-shirt here. And and this will kind of help camouflage some of that paint that we didn't get off or didn't get covered up. And it won't look so white. So stark white anyway. Plus this will help the new paint that we just laid down. So there we go. So it probably won't be perfect, but let's see if we can keep it from bleeding this go around. So I'm bringing my transfer back in, and because I'm using it on wood, I'm going to flip this towel inside out. Because I'm using it on painted wood, I am going to fuzz it, but I'm just once, maybe once or twice. I got it pretty clean last night when I washed it in the water, so most of that gunk came off of the back. Okay, so we're just going to lay it down on our surface. And I'm going to line the bottom edge of the transfer up with the bottom edge of my tag. And I think these, if I remember correctly, these tags are about, let's see, about 7.5 by 15. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, I'm not going to do it as intricate as I did it last night. I'm just going to do the reindeer parking in black, up on the housetop, and one night only in red. I still think I'm going to leave the deer copper, but I'll also do the reins and the runners copper. And then I think I'll just do the whole sled black. I think I tried to do too many colors in a very small amount of space. My paste colors dried. It was a hot mess last night. Okay, so I'm going to grab a squeegee, and I'm going to grab my red paste, candy apple red. I do believe candy apple red is still sold out, but it should return shortly. This is just liquid, or this is just chalk in a liquid form. It dries hard to the touch, but it is also water soluble. And this one is a bit thicker, so hopefully it won't seep as much as the one last night did. And so I'm just removing the excess. And I'm going to leave that lay there, and I'm going to pull this part up. I'm going to do the paste and peel method, mainly because I don't want that to dry, the chalk paste to dry in my silkscreen. That looks much better than it did last night. Okay, so I'm just going to gently lay that down over the letters, and then I'm going to adhere the reindeer, and then I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to do the one night only in red. So I'm just going to remove the excess, and I can put all of this back in my jar. And so I'm going to pull this part up. I'm going to dry it real quick. It already looks much better. Okay, so let's come up here to the reindeer, and I'm going to do it in the shimmer copper. I'm going to use the multi-tool, so it has a squeegee on one end and kind of a stir stick on the other. So I'm going to do the deer, the reins, and the runners. So I may have to I'm going to turn my tag a little bit. So I'm just going to dip this in the paste. I should probably turn my fan off. And then I'm going to grab the detail tool, which has a smaller squeegee on it to get the runners. Okay, I'm going to pull that part up because I don't want my paste to dry where I did the deer. I'm going to dry that. Okay, so then I'm just going to lay it back down. I'm going to make sure that it's adhered where the sled and the gifts are. And we're going to pull out our black. Let me get a different detail tool. So this is the black velvet. And I'm just going to gently pull it over the silkscreen material. I'll try to be careful not to get it in the copper. Let's pull our detail tool back out. This is good for getting in those tight spots. Okay. Okay, let's pull that up. That's better. It's much cleaner than it did last night. Sometimes you just gotta circle the wagons and regroup. So then I'm going to make sure my letters are really burnished down. But I think most of my problem last night was all the gunk that was on the back of my transfer. It wouldn't allow for a good seal. So now I'm going to grab a small squeegee. So this is a small squeegee. This is a mini squeegee in the catalog. So I'm just going to grab some paste on my small squeegee, and with a light hand, I'm going to drag it down the silkscreen mesh material. Just kind of smoothing out my lines. And I'm going to flip everything over so that I can scrape away from the red text that I already have. Okay, let's put the excess back in my jar. And then we'll flip it around again. And then we'll pull this up. I'm going to pull it up slowly. That looks much better than it did last night. Okay, I'm just going to stick it in my tub of water over here, and then I'm just going to dry this enough to where I can move it. That looks so much better. Okay, I'm going to put this to the side. I'm going to trade it out for my tub of water. I'm going to show you real quick how to clean the transfers. So I just have a tub of water. You can use this, or sometimes I take it directly to the sink. You can use your kitchen sink. You can use a utility tub or a utility sink. So I'm just kind of scraping it on the bottom of the tub just to help get the chalk paste off. And then I'm going to take my board eraser. I know it's kind of hard to see because this water is really gunky, but I'm just going to pull my board eraser along the transfer to get it cleaned off. And then now I'm just going to pull it out of the water. Get my towel up here. And so then I'm just going to, while it's on the towel, I'm going to continue using my board eraser to try to get all of that off. I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to get a disinfecting wipe. You don't want to use baby wipes because those tend to have oils or lotions in them. And that will affect the silkscreen and the adhesive. I'm just scrubbing this sled because there's still a lot of black paste in it. So now I'm just going to take the disinfecting wipe and I'm going to clean the back. This kind of helps get the lint off of the back. And then I'm going to bring my backer sheet back in. You can leave it to air dry sticky side up if you would prefer. But because I have a tendency to let them hang out overnight or sometimes a week later, I've just tried to get into the habit of putting them on the backer sheet as soon as possible so I don't forget later, because I will forget later. And sometimes the hardest part of your whole project is getting it back on the backer sheet. Okay. Okay, so that is clean, as clean as it's going to get. Your blacks, your reds, your greens will stain your transfers, but as long as your mesh is still clean, you're good to go. But if the teal part gets stained, it won't hurt the function of the transfer. Okay, so let's bring our tag back in. Move this bucket of water out of the way. I think we're pretty dry. I'm just going to give it a quick dry again just to make sure. And I'm going to come in and sand the edges a bit just because when I painted over them, I kind of lost that distressed edge. And then I'm going to go back in with a little bit of my wax to darken up those edges. Okay. Let's bring our wax back in. Thanks, Jason. So we did fix it. And I just want to kind of hit the edges again. There. There. Just a touch. Okay, so now I believe I can pull that out. So there is our finished tag, all fixed. Very few bleeds. Looks so much better. So now I'm just going to reattach my bow. And if you want to see how I made this bow, you can go back to last night's video, which would have been November 5th. And you can see how I put this bow together. So I'm just going to run. I have this greenery twist. It's on there with a zip tie. So I'm just going to run the twine back through the hole up here. And it's going to hopefully come out the back. Part of it is. Let's see. There, got it. Okay, so then I'm gonna, I had to weave it through some of these pieces of greenery so that they lay the way they're supposed to. So then I'm going to lay it down and I'm just going to tie it back on. I also think, I wonder if I have, before I tie it on, I probably should get a piece of thicker twine so I can make a hanger. So I just have a loop of twine. I'm going to put a knot at the top. And then I'm just going to tie it. I'm going to put the loop through my piece of twine that I'm tying the bow on with. And I'm going to tie it really tight, hopefully. And then I'm going to have to refloof my bow because I totally just smashed it. Okay, so now we have our hanger. And now let's refloof our bow. So you can just kind of pull and tug on the ribbons until you get it where you want it so that they're all kind of showing. And then I like to, I stick my fingers onto the back of the ribbon and I kind of put a bubble in it, and it kind of mimics the loopy bow, gives it a little bit of depth. Let's move this one there. Just want to get it to where you can see, and then I've got some little edges that are raveled, so you can take a lighter and hopefully not burn your house down. Whew. Doesn't work real well with the fan on. Okay, but that got rid of the raveled edges, but I about burned my thumb off. And that just kind of singes the ends so that they don't fray. Because I did cut some of these. Okay, that looks good. So we fixed it. It looks so much better than it did. I had too many runs for my liking. So this is how it'll hang on my door. So the Reindeer Parking one night only. Hey Ashley, when did you sneak in? Sorry. I decided to redo this. I did not like all of the bleeding that occurred last night, so I sanded it off, gave it a quick coat of paint with a baby wipe, and then ditched a few colors, and it looks so much better. My red was a bit thicker today, so I do like it much better. I'm very pleased. So there is that. So I just showed you how you could fix your design even on a piece of wood. So I'm going to hop off for the day. I have lots on my to-do list. I'm going to make some Christmas tree gnomes today. I also have a few faux palette wood gnomes that I need to make for some custom orders. Oh, you snuck in when I was attaching the bow. Thanks. I think it turned out really cute. I'm going to have to make one for myself, so that this one will probably go to CJ's. But then I will make one for myself because I have quite a few wood tags in my stash that I need to get out of my stash. So that is that's my modus operandi, is to destash my stash and get some of this stuff made. And I think I did burn my thumb and out of the basement. So I will be live again on Monday evening, 7:45 Central Time. I hope you all have, let me get my mouse working again. I hope you all have a great rest of your weekend, and thanks for tuning in today. See you later.